from Fat using his abilities and shouting out loud. At this time, the king's salary is fast approaching. His ability is a powerful form of metamorphosis, especially in ice and snow control. Although not as strong as the false sea, it's about control. The ocean cannot be compared to him. Only in my own strength, from Fat that can cover an area several kilometers around, with ice and snow, dramatically slow the speed of zombies. The battle ahead, it's still going on. It's intense. To browse with excess and fat words. As a special action team that supports the weapon of the pawns is a dragon fruit min. Luck is made of precious metals otherwise, because cutting down zombies soon became impossible. You're like a human storm, dragging everywhere among the zombies, with intense attacks. Each slash can tear 10 zombies apart. King with strong defense. But in the face of large numbers, zombie mainly rely on 2 giant casting machine guns to destroy them. The only good news is, Zhang Yi and his team has a lot of ammunition. Despite the small number of teams, of Trong Yep still active on the battlefield. Not inferior to any other group. Even more than. In the blink of an eye, half an hour passed. Every minute, every second is a terrible torment. It brings a sense of hopelessness. But they have no choice. In addition to fighting zombies. In this crazy fight, the zombie attack was prolonged and become slow. Even though their numbers don't change. But with our defenses shrinking, it's getting harder and harder to attack. At the bottom of the tunnel, the mutant rats began to crawl again. Like these rats and other monsters, still very sensitive to the smell of living people. A small number of mutant mice has entered the hideout of the snows. There's no strong armed personnel to fight back. Just a bunch of rats is enough to quickly kill a floor full of valuables. A mutant mouse, Big General Lao, came to bite a girl. The miserable cry echoed in succession. There's nothing anyone can do, rather than ignore this cry for help. Because they don't have the ability to rescue. Even self-defense is difficult. Even Zheng, I first saw this bloodshed. I can only sigh. Go back to God. Then 2 people from the snow church came, stabbing the Kier mutant mouse. I saw 10 zombies coming in. He frowned a little hesitantly. But in the end, he changed the barrel and destroyed them one by one. He doesn't care too much. To the life and death of the snowmen. The current situation is not allowed. The rear fell into large-scale chaos. The panic of their normal spears. It could affect Team 5, fighting on the front lines. The number of zombies breaking through the lines is increasing. The war has moved to a close combat phase. He's working with the gods and some others. Start to get excited. You call the border force. I said I'll hold on for half an hour. However, at SAO zombies are still attacking so fiercely. It's been 40 minutes. Border defense response. The number of zombies is also very large. Just hold on for another 10 minutes. We'll solve them all soon. The clear and cold voice of armed men. It's a little bit frustrating. But right now, they can only choose to trust them. You give orders to the soldiers. Concentrate fire to protect people in the church. The snow in other places. If you can leave, leave. As the battle gets smaller and smaller, the hiding place of normal spears. It's just an abandoned place. But it's also a good point. Zombies are always directed towards the living. They're very sensitive to human smell. Middle East Island price map attract the majority of zombies. Like that, the combat pressure of the soldiers was also significantly reduced. You can even say, from the beginning, these people were the bait. In the plan of the armed forces, to complete the mission of killing zombies, every sacrifice is considered necessary. The cry of sorrow echoed everywhere in the snow. Teacher, don't save me. Breathe a sigh of relief, thinking that it could extend the duration of the fight. But next to him, the flower suddenly became alert. Raise your hands and reveal your sharp fangs. In Zhang's hands, the gun was raised. He's constantly killing the enemy from every direction, from a high position. He noticed that any enemy trying to get close, they can't escape. Out of my sight. But he missed a direction. The flower next to her suddenly screamed loudly, then quickly inflate, shielded in front of Zhang Yi's body. Zhang Yi was a little surprised. I don't know why the cat reacted that way. But only in half a second, he immediately realized that surely someone is approaching me. To look up, the scene in front of you, causing his pupils to contract uncontrollably. In the dark, there are more than 10 winged creatures that resemble humans. Their wings are like giant cords. The body is slender and elongated. That's more than 10 pieces of armor. It's a new kind of product. These toys are so well hidden. The flower suddenly soared up into the middle. Move with a sharp eye, follow the sky. Hoa Hoa was confronted with a 5th armor and push it towards the roof. Other people are rushing towards the epidemic. The epidemic did not panic. Opens a giant space door in front of you. 2 armor non-exam, not in time to prepare, rushing into the door of space. One of them was immediately assassinated. The rest of you see that. Quick turn on. No, they're looking for opportunities. I hope to solve the translation. Because most of the armor on the ground has been dealt with by Zhang. They soon noticed him. Plan to take down the epidemic. Fortunately, there are flowers. Don't give them a chance to surprise. On the top floor, the voice of thy, by the cry of the flower. Flowers with sharp claws. Crazy. Capture and tear apart the enemy's iron and steel body. Destroy them in small pieces. 155 armor was likely torn apart by Hoa Hoa. There's no way to survive. To expand the thought. So many numbers. We've got to widen the defensive perimeter of the 2 doors. Can you really fight or run? Nor lose face. To see this scene, the remaining 10 undead, there's a look of taboo in my eyes. Because they're flying so fast, they can't aim correctly. But at this distance, Zhangji's power was enough to assassinate them. And the defensive scope of duality. It's also very large. If you can't beat it, just run away. So he's not afraid either. However, these African allies are clearly apprehensive. He hesitated for a moment and then flew back to the others. Rapid notification of the epidemic through the contact frequency. There is a man who can fly high. Altitude alert. These FLIs fly so fast and prepared to defend against the epidemic, making it difficult to assassinate them. They attack from the air. They pose a major threat to the coalition. Despite a warning from Zhang, They're still rapidly defeating large numbers of soldiers. Take a deep breath and speak. This situation is really difficult. The military relies only on you. Speak in the squad's communication channel and announce this news to them. No need to stay ahead of the fight. Let's move back. And ready to retreat, follow me at any time. Listen to this information. Red pepper. The sea and the sky are amazing. What is homozygous evolves? They look up high. Then I saw countless armor flying towards me. There's no other way. They can only fight at any time. Army of Sky, shaped parachute, fierce battle. But also exhausted. Their fighting strength is diminishing. Show from fat through the transmitter. Excess promotion and salary approval. From fat panting. He's starting to get tired. He looked down from above, thinking. Look, unless it's a military. They succeeded in killing the king. By 0, sooner or later, this place turns into a human hell. He said in his squad's news channel. Be prepared to retreat. As soon as the 7-player line, I will immediately lead everyone away. If it's just a few of them. Thanks to the piercing power of the diathesis, they still have a chance to escape. But if the armed forces and their groups, 7, failed in the carnage, everyone here today can't survive. He immediately decided to look for Zhu Hai. However, when his eyes turned towards the cathedral, then he saw the double armor falling down from the cathedral sky. Damn it, you can't help but scold. I feel the blood in the cold. Around the cathedral, even if there are defensive mutants, but no one expected an aerial attack. This 2-legged horse enters the church. You can kill people in half a minute. The child is also at risk of death. Expand translation. Without any hesitation, activate the gravity will to move. With this distance, he needs to go through 3 times. You can go to the church. But the thunder of the ear, it's coming from inside the cathedral. When Zhang Yi was about to arrive at the church, a cold white light wave suddenly exploded from the church. 2 fight the armor. No matter how fast you get in, you can't leave. They were shot off the roof. Trong Yi exclaimed. In the wind, there is Gao. He breathed a sigh of relief, but after thinking about it, it's also very reasonable. Sermon, how can I let this ungrateful preacher himself in the church without sending a guard? You. 2 horses fell to the ground. On top of that, the ice cracked. They're struggling to get up from the ground. Eyes are full, timidly towards the wind, and let out a scream. The mutants of Snow White. Guard at the church door. Be ready to meet the enemy. Fight fiercely with the non-The armor. The government doesn't care about these situations. He took a step through duality to get inside the church. The inside of the church is in complete chaos right now. The spears that hide here look terrified. Chen wished on the ground a crowd. The center of the cathedral doesn't stand there. Light through the holes in the ceiling, shining on you. She is quiet and serene. It exudes a divine air. He glanced at her and wondered. Maybe the hidden master of the snow flute. It's her again. It's a bit surprising, but it makes sense. Uninterested in the master of the Church of the Snow. It's not uncommon to have powerful powers. Zhang Yi's eyes, it quickly stopped on Zhu Kaini. She hugged the medicine chest with a scared face, hiding behind a pole. The translation doesn't say a word. Come in front of her and hold her in your arms. Why are we here? Just one word. That made Zhu Kai's body tense, to become soft. When you have a dog next to you, you feel safe. You don't look at the horse in surprise. You don't understand why Chong Yi suddenly appeared here. But after thinking about it, in your heart you understand. Maybe the operation used some kind of power. Through space. This rare ability makes you unstoppable. I looked at her a few more times. Outside the screaming and screaming, the ear is getting closer and closer. The big door thundered. A bunch of flutes, they're chased by zombies, and they run here, seeking the protection of non-counterfeit raw materials. The boy asked anxiously. The plague, can we hold it? Zhang's face was cold. He said, don't be afraid, follow me. About the fate of others. He has no mind to care. Maybe due to unwillingness, he was not able to save too many people. The zombies have opened the wind door and are buzzing. Pull in. Zhu Hai took her out by the hand. Where the situation has become chaotic. Don't be afraid to follow me. Zhang Yi no longer wanted to hide his abilities. Directly opened Iathis' subject and took Zhu Kai out of the church. You're not stupid, seeing Zhang's ability. It's not surprising. She muttered. This is the measure. You have developed a space power. Hold her hand and take her out. Zombies and other giant creatures, increasingly crossing the line. On the front lines, the forces are still fighting back, trying to stop the zombies from surrounding everyone. With a cold face, to pull Zhu Kai, quickly move to the top of a tall building. The flowers are still there. On the ground, the body of Thai was destroyed. Looking down from above, the fighting situation is becoming more and more critical. Although the army of mutants is not yet zombie-infested, complete siege, the normal number of soldiers started dying a lot. If the war continues, mutants will be exhausted. They will also be attacked by zombies. Lucky translation group, there's energy from food to replenish energy. Maintain the strength and fitness to fight. However, if it continues like this, it's not a long-term solution. For a while, the flowers jumped up, where Zhang Yi and Zhu Lianhe were standing. After a moment of observation, he realized flowers don't eat their brains. The translation says, maybe that's the difference between them and mutants. It's not a modified organism. They're some kind of special creation. Zhu Hai looked down. I saw zombies coming from four sides like a rushing tide. They have no way out. She asked me anxiously and anxiously. Our translation program, what do we do now? People hiding in buildings and roadblocks. The zombies came and killed him. People hiding in Gaza and the basements of shopping malls. It is inevitable to be destroyed by zombies. From the bottom up. Sermon. Become a spectacle of hell on earth. If the situation continues to develop like this, in just 10 minutes, the line will completely collapse. Red pepper still keeps burning the red flame. Burn many zombies to ash. Wei Dai Hai with his snowflake can affect zombies in large VI. But he just killed one group, and another group came. Army of Sky shaped parachute fierce battle. But also exhausted. Their fighting strength is diminishing. Cho from Fat through the transmitter. Excess promotion and salary approval. Be prepared to retreat. As soon as the 7-player line, I will immediately lead everyone away. From Fat panting. He was crying and shouting. The old man can't stand it anymore. Come and save me. The fluid is quickly identified, a place of Fat in the crowd. It's a control system mutant. Next to him, there were some soldiers protecting him. Like the surrounding zombies are slowly obscuring them. And from Fat as a mouse, you're so scared that your face is pale. Order the flower to come down immediately. Rescue from Fat. The flower suddenly jumped from the upper floor of the building, creating a massive wave of ice and snow. Then aggressively charge into the zombie horde. Quick access from Fat. Take his collar and pull him back. The Fat is now breathing. Your flower is finally here. The flower quickly moves from Fat to Fat. From Fat from on the back, Hoa 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 stepped down. He now feels that he is alive. He wiped the sweat from his forehead. The child sat down on the ground, breathing a sense of overwhelming anxiety. The government is not outside either. He took it from above. A large number of grenades and explosives. Start throwing them towards the most crowded group of zombies. Until now, he is also trying to help others. Reduce the pressure of fighting. His ability. It can't make a big impact on a large scale. Even though his power is strong, his power is limited. Killing hundreds of zombies at a time, it cannot change the current state of affairs. But now he suddenly found out. Zombies want to retreat. All the zombies suddenly stop all the action. They're like puppets with their batteries drained. No more attacking the person in front of you. After a moment, all the zombies at the same time do a proper move. Turn around and start running the other way. Whether it's bronze, or regular zombies, they all leave the enemy in front of them. Clearly, just a few more attacks. They have a chance to completely take over the Tianhai city, humanity's greatest entrenched point. But without hesitation, they turned their heads and ran like crazy. I trained myself to see the scene, and immediately delighted. Because it's the same situation. You saw it a few days ago. You say, too. The army and his party found the king. Zombies are coming back to save the king. This reaction of zombies on the battlefield, it can only be explained as the border. The army and his party have found the king, and pose a major threat to it, forcing the king to summon his legion. On the battlefield, everyone is tired, except for the translation chapter, who's still relatively relieved. When they saw the zombies retreat, they were overjoyed. They don't stop screaming. Ha ha ha, we are alive. Thank God just a moment ago. They've almost become food for zombies. But as the zombies grow farther behind the horizon, forming a long thin black strip, I can't see the end. People dare to breathe. In the whole area of Snowspear, the sound of deep breathing, loud cries and laughter echoed everywhere. The feeling of escape is too strong. Although people here have been through many battles, but no one's ever been through a war so desperate. They can accept being killed by someone else. But no AI wants to face the zombie scene and giant creatures that feed on life. Let's get our spirits up and tell people. We can't afford to ignore it now. Everybody take a break. The injured person came to me to pick up supplies. Everyone can sit down and rest for a bit. Be ready to fight at any time. Not likely. There are still zombies and giant creatures. After the reminder of the red pepper, other forces also follow. People are too scared. Don't even dare to completely relax. Even when resting. Chu Kai Ni hugged the translated leg. I dare to breathe now. Her breasts fluttered strongly. Zhang Yi felt this very clearly. I saw the frightened eyes of many soldiers. The battle tonight, it will leave unforgettable memories for many people. Trauma syndrome in war. It's also inevitable. He rubbed his head and said, I hope they don't get startled. Waking up in a dream because I remember the zombie scene. To browse the web and the word fat with Hoa Hoa. Gathered in front of Zhang Yi. The three of them had memorized Zhang Yi's instructions. They tried their best. It also retains energy to be able to flee when necessary. So they're not hurt. The king had faced off against the enemy a few times, but with thick skin and strong self-healing. He didn't get any hurt either. Uncle, you told everyone. It's finally over. I heard that the spear hit the snow spear. There are less than 500 people left. Other coalition troops were killed about 80% of the time. It's not easy for us to be alive. Watching the entire battlefield breathlessly. Fortunately, we had no casualties. The entire city of Tianhai after this battle. It can be considered completely destroyed. In terms of fighting power, the damage is too great. It can't be simply described as catastrophic. However, for translation schools, this isn't all bad. But if we're talking about massive damage, it's not the power of large organizations or translation programs. It's a sermon. That's why, for Sao Trim, the first and the highest levels of the snow cult, it's very moody and sad. People outside is still standing in his defensive position. But no one said anything. 01 words to be uttered. There is no language at this time. I can express people's feelings. Because in the face of such a battle, to lose so many people, every basic emotion, like joy, love, and hate, seem to be lost. Look around. On the face without any excess expression. Suddenly, Zhang Yi heard the voice of Zhu Kai Ni. Are you injured in the operation? Do you need me to help you check? She asked. He looked at Zhu Kai Ni smiling. No, you don't. And then he continued to ask the others. Around. Is everyone okay? Everyone nods. We're fine. Fortunately, we're all fine. She gripped the medicine chest on her back and asked Zhang Yi, can you go help with the injury? She points to the survivors on the battlefield. Even if we survive now, but many of them were slightly injured. Zhang did not object, but reminded her. Be careful. At least now, they're all on the same side. After this battle, the great powers in the Tianhai city, it's hard to make a big threat. And maybe they'll be allies in the future. To deal with the risks that may arise. Zhu Kai Ni brought the medicine box across the battlefield looking for wounded. Bandage wounds and inject them. The way you work seriously and skillfully, it made many soldiers feel warm. They feel the survival. It's not like I've been lost in hell. Even one who cried, while Zhu liability, Ni bandaged his wound. Hoo, we're alive. They went everywhere on the battlefield to help. Help the injured in their capacity. She breathed tired when it began to fall. I didn't forget to remind the wounded. I've been paying attention not to lift heavy things lately, to prevent the wound from cracking. The wounded happily thanked Chu Kai Ni, she replied. You're welcome. Go get supplies. Gradually, people start taking out their supplies. Food, medicine, ice cloth, blanket, clothes. Even though I dare not sleep, but they seem to be able to conclude that the zombies are not coming back. So they decided to let the wounded rest first. Fascinated with the survivors of the wind going out. In this battle, they are very well protected. Although there are some minor injuries, but no one was injured. Yudon Ti look around and say, help and take care of them. They are great soldiers. Everyone is aware of their own survival. Not easy. Can't leave. Brave soldiers who fought on the front lines. So people can still move. They're starting to approach the wounded to take care of them, including the husband and wife of the sword, and from multiple. I think it's because of poor health after last time. Can't help. So he stayed in the wind waiting. The sword looks towards the battlefield, like hell in front of you. Feel the pain in my heart. He used to lead his friends. The neighbors came to the snow. But now, most of them died in zombie raids. On his face, it is inevitable that self-blame will appear. A way of comforting him not to suffer. I did my best too. In this era, we can only try. Let yourself live every day. It's not your fault. The sword sighed. To help others with medical care for the wounded. And the young girl, they are also active on the battlefield. Bandage for the wounded. Bring hot water to heat them. After a while, the soldiers and his group returned. They seemed tired. Not as calm as before. The army of the enemy. You always show off. It now looks as pale as yellow paper, with weak legs like no strength left. Confucius, who possesses the power of strengthening system. Our shoulders are injured and our wings are deformed. He was clearly injured in combat. Blood and injury on all of you. Everyone seems different in foreign trade. But there was a smile of relief on their faces. Clearly, they've completed their mission. It wasn't easy, but they succeeded. When I saw them coming, they shouted, "They're back." Go ahead and ask the soldiers. You killed all the kings. The military coldly replied, "There are 5 of them. We killed all the bodies in the car." That's good. After receiving the reply, confirmation from the Armed Forces Frontier, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. When he died, the king commanded. The number of zombies left in the city of Tianhai, although many are scattered small groups. At least, no longer have to worry about large-scale operations, as before. It will be easier to handle each of these groups. Let's think a little bit. And then, from outer space, we pull out some superfoods. Give the border force. What is this? Asked the border guard curiously. This is food made by mutants to help restore energy. Physical and mental. Very useful to use. Speak with a smile. The army also smiled after listening, even though his smile seemed wry. Looks like you have a friend in Hummin. Has a very strong support capacity. He did not hesitate to take food from his hands and feet, and then with his team back in the car. With news about all the kings were destroyed. People feel like they can rest a little. too tired to talk much. The fighting staff, go back to your resting place. Those who are not fighting, he's in charge of providing food and treatment. The night falls quiet.